All right, so I got another subject. I want to talk about this show, The Last of Us. It's on HBO right now, and it's a very popular show right now. And it's a post-apocalyptic zombie type setting in America. So it's based on this video game, The Last of Us, that actually came out years before the pandemic. And in the game, there's a pandemic in America. So in the first game, it's about that pandemic, basically. And then you have the sequel that came out, and apparently people hate the sequel and that like the first one. So the sequel is them when they actually get to Washington State in the storyline in the sequel. In the first one, they're not actually in Washington State yet, but they're like headed that way out west. So uh the first season of this show is basically the first game from what I've researched, and then the season two that's going to be coming out next will be the second game that came out. So the storyline would be connected to that. And so in this game, when you get to Washington in the sequel, you find out that the whole city of Seattle, you're actually in Seattle in the game for a good bit, and the place has been bombed really bad. And so whenever it got bombed, they actually hit these reservoirs or these like water gates basically. So we got water gates that have been bombed in Washington, and it causes this flooding. So in the game, you're in a flooded Seattle, Washington, and you can actually see the Space Needle, but you can't get to it. But it's flooded in the water. So everything's flooded in the water, and so it's a very big part of that storyline and game, and it's been bombed. So this main thing is it's been bombed, and it's flooded because of the bombing, and it specifically says about these water gates that got hit, which reminds me of the Batman movie that came out. If you remember, the Riddler, whenever he bombs the water gates, and then I know Tim Osmond was talking about the Watergate in the what is that show, Stranger Things. I haven't seen that, so I don't know much about it, but the Watergate in there. So I know it's like a same theme. It's very strange that they have this game that predicted the pandemic ahead of time, and then the sequel of this storyline, they go to Washington State and it's been bombed and flooded. Whenever that's what we're looking for in the predictive programming, and this is like a huge show that's on right now, and the second season's gonna. This show's about to end the first season, and so the second season is what everybody's gonna be waiting for. So they're all waiting to see Seattle basically bombed and flooded. That's what they're going to show on the TVs in the future. And I did some research on these games and this show. So the first game came out years ago, but they just did a remake for this game, and it just came out on 3.3. So you got a remake on 3.3 for this game. And then at the same time, I was doing research. I read an article and have it saved that says that it took them 33 months to make the show season one. So it took them 33 months to make season one. And at the same time, their game comes out on the 3.3, the remake. So that was The Last of Us. And there's probably a bunch of stuff in there that I don't know, like predictive programming, because I don't have HBO or anything, so I haven't seen it, I never played it or anything. Only did some research on it, so there might be something worth the looking there. That's all I had to say about it. But it's really weird that we're looking at these events. We have 9/11 events over and over again, and I mean at this point, we got so many 9/11 events, it scientifically makes sense for there to be a 9/11 event coming up. I mean, we have 9/11 right now. We have had it every day this year. So, I mean, looks like we're going to have a 9/11 event coming up.